Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, November 3rd. Much to talk about this morning with respect to Hurricane Eta. It is a strong Category 4 hurricane, a major hurricane right now on the doorstep of the Central American country of Nicaragua, right along the northeastern border of Nicaragua. It looks like it will slowly move to the west over Nicaragua, make landfall later in the day today, and produce some tremendous rainfall both in that country and Honduras as well over the next few days. I mean, we're talking 2 to 3 feet of rain. Not only is it a powerful hurricane, but it's a very slow mover right now. This is the location, and the latest maximum sustained winds are 145 miles per hour and only moving about 4 miles per hour. That spells really a disaster in terms of flooding and landslides for parts of Central America. This is Nicaragua right here, Honduras, and then Belize. And the problem with Eta is not only going to be confined to Central America in the near term, but in the longer term, it spells trouble for the southeastern U.S. and Cuba, because it will really meander around for many, many days. We may be dealing with this not only a week from now, but perhaps even 2 weeks from now. We may be dealing with Eta. We'll see in a moment here. The forecast track is basically in this fashion, and then it'll start looping back and end up back out over the warm waters of the Northwest Caribbean, and that's when it can become an increasing concern, first for Cuba, but then for southern Florida and all of the southeast U.S. This is something that we'll have to monitor in the longer term. It looks like next week into the following week. And here's the latest forecast track as predicted by the NOAA's National Hurricane Center. Again, a major hurricane right now on the doorstep of making landfall in Nicaragua. It's a Category 4 with maximum sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. Probably will not get all the way up to a Category 5. It will weaken as it crosses Nicaragua and then moves into Honduras over the next few days. But despite the weakening, once over land, it will dump 2 to 3 feet of rain in much of this area, and of course have some tremendous wind damage as well. Landslides, a good bet in this part of Central America. And then it starts to loop back around after moving over or skirting Belize, and ends up out over the open waters once again by the latter part of the upcoming week in the warmer waters of the Western Caribbean. And that's when it could start to intensify and likely start to move slowly to the north, and that's when it becomes a bigger concern for Cuba and the southern part of Florida. We're talking a week from now, and again, this could be sticking around, meandering around this whole area, not only next week, but into the following week as well. One of the indicators that we follow with respect to tropical activity is called the Madden-Julian Oscillation, and it is moving into phases numbers 8 and 1 that tend to favor some tropical activity this time of the year over the southeastern U.S. and Cuba. And that's why very likely that this will move northward once it moves back out over the Western Caribbean by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. In southern Florida, Cuba, and really all of southeastern part of the U.S. Will have this as an increasing concern later in the weekend, especially during next week. Well, one of the indicators that we do track that suggests this will become an increasing concern for Florida and the rest of the southeast U.S. as well as Cuba is that Madden-Julian Oscillation, and the way it goes through a couple of different phases that tend to favor some tropical activity in that part of North America this time of the year. Another thing I like to look at with respect to tropical activity and potential movement or intensification, 500 millibar height anomalies, and we will have a favorable pattern for some tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico, in the southwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea. So that is a supporting piece of evidence for a concern coming up for the southeast U.S. Specifically, high pressure ridging this time of the year when it builds to the north and east, the northeastern part of the U.S., the southeastern part of Canada. It tends to allow for tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico, in the Bahamas, the southwestern Atlantic. And this is the 500 millibar height anomaly average over the current 5-day period. Watch what happens as we move forward. Here's days 2 to 6, then days 3 to 7, which are listed up here. Days 3 to 7 show this strong high pressure ridging edging into the southeastern part of Canada. This is November 5th later this week, all the way into next week, November 10th. Then we go even farther. And take a look at here. We have this strong high pressure ridging centered over New England or the southeastern part of Canada. And this is days 5 to 9. Basically next week, we're talking November 7th to November 12th, and it doesn't change much after that. And again, what this does is you tend to get tropical activity that undercuts this ridge well to the north. In fact, this little blue area right here is a reflection of Hurricane Eta at the 500 millibar level. Again, this is 6 to 10 days away, but with this strong high pressure ridging up in this part of the U.S. and Canada, that allows for tropical activity, and this is the area of concern. Cuba, Florida, and the rest of the southeast U.S. Again, we're talking next week into the following week. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS. By the way, those 500 millibar height anomaly maps were from the ensemble run of the GFS from last night. All of these maps from tropicaltidbits.com. Here is the location as we begin the day today of Hurricane Eta. Again, a strong Category 4 hurricane about to make landfall in Central America. Now watch what happens over the next several days. It moves very, very slowly through Central America into Honduras, and then either over or just to the east of Belize by the latter part of the week, and then into the week. And then it starts to move back out over the northwestern Caribbean. This is by the end of the week, and it just meanders around. It may impact Cuba over the upcoming weekend, and then kind of rotate around, and it could move out over into the Florida Straits. This is, of course, a big concern, a potential concern for about a week from now for the Keys, Key West, for example, and certainly all of the southern part of Florida. And it just kind of spins around here and maybe goes back and hits Cuba. This is, again, just one model run here, but all the models are tending to show the same sort of thing, that we may have to deal with Eta not only next week, but even into the middle part of November. Eventually, according to this particular model run, and these certainly a speculation stage right now as we get into the middle part of November, but this particular model run ends up pushing it back out over the Central Gulf almost 2 weeks from now. I mean, this is amazing how the longevity of this thing, and then it cuts to the north and east and impacts the Gulf region and ultimately the southeast U.S. So Eta will be something we'll be talking about probably for the next 2 weeks, as first it pounds away at Central America with tremendous rainfall, flooding, landslides, and the whole works in Nicaragua, Honduras, even Belize, and then it will curve back out into the open waters of the Western Caribbean, and that's when we'll monitor closely for potential impact on Cuba, Florida, and the rest of the southeast U.S. probably about a week from now, all the way into the middle part of November. So that's it for now for PerspectiveWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.